I had always been interested in criminology, and when I completed high school, I applied to Simon Fraser University, to the School of Criminology, to do an undergraduate degree in crim. And while I was doing that degree, I had the intention of going to law school. But in my third year, I spent 4 or 5 months in northern Canada, in Whitehorse, working for the Chief Territorial Justice in the criminal court. And I learned a lot of things in that time frame. One of which was that the courts and lawyers seem to be a big part of the problem in terms of seeing justice being done and actually resolving people's conflicts, as opposed to just having a judge end them, which is not the same as resolution. And as a result of that experience, I stepped back from my desire to go to law school, and I decided instead to pursue graduate studies. I was very fortunate to receive scholarships to do my graduate work, so I did a master's degree in criminology and communications, also at Simon Fraser. And having completed that, I realized that there was something extremely attractive about spending the rest of my life sort of following my nose and pursuing the questions that interested me. And I decided to do a PhD, which I did at the London School of Economics and Political Science in London, England, in their law department. So before I completed that degree, I was very fortunate to be offered the position here at Carleton, and that is how I came to be an instructor in Laws 1000 at Carleton University. I teach, in addition to Laws 1000, I teach a 4th-year seminar in my research area, which is Aboriginal and Community Justice. I also teach in our graduate program. Each of those courses offers a slightly different context for teaching. Obviously, a 4th-year seminar in your research area allows you to pursue in greater detail and in a smaller group setting some of the major questions of interest in your field. And this is also the case in the graduate program, where we often have very small groups of students who are pursuing studies at quite a higher level, and so you are able to do a little bit more interesting and challenging things in terms of your own research area. I enjoy Laws 1000 very much. I find that the students are very sort of fresh and excited about university when they come to Carleton in their first year. They are very eager to learn, and I really enjoy the feedback and the relationships that I can develop with the first-year students. For 7 years, I sat as an Indian Claims Commissioner, which was a standing Royal Commission of Inquiry, which had me traveling all across Canada, predominantly the Prairie Provinces and British Columbia, conducting with some of my fellow commissioners inquiries into rejected land claims by First Nations groups. That was a very interesting job. I no longer do that. That commission closed in, I think, 2009. Since then, I have been able to return to the work that I do, assisting communities to develop local justice mechanisms, essentially restorative justice work. And in this regard, I've been very fortunate to work with the Cree Regional Authority of the James Bay Cree, their Department of Justice and Correctional Services, and to work extensively in 2 Cree communities, one of which is quite isolated, assisting the community to develop those mechanisms which will help keep some of their people out of the court system and hopefully, ideally, out of jail. What do I like to do in my spare time? Increasingly, I don't have very much spare time. Because I tend to travel a lot for my community work, and I've been spending some time in Washington, D.C. At their Department of Justice, doing some work there. When on the odd times that I'm home, I enjoy spending time with my daughters. I have 3 daughters. One is a student here in Carleton, focusing on journalism and human rights. One of my other daughters is a student at Concordia University at the Oppenheim School of Film, and my youngest is in high school. All of my daughters were involved in competitive sports, so mostly I've spent a lot of time driving to various sporting activities. My youngest daughter is currently a competitive rower, which is carrying on a bit of a family tradition in my house. So we have a lot of, 4:30 a.m. mornings transporting her to the Ottawa River to row. Personally, I like to cook. I like to spend time with my friends, and increasingly, I'm getting back to doing some of the things I used to enjoy doing, which is painting. So,
watercolor painting, or
oils, and I do some stained glass work. So that's positive work, because, as I tell my students, any kind of creative work that you do helps you with things like writing. So when you can take some time to do something completely different from actually writing papers and researching, to engage in other creative activities, that helps you to focus more effectively on your research and your writing when you return to it. Well, I guess what I would say, certainly to my students in Laws 1000, is one of the best things about the law is it actually contains a lot of really interesting stories. And one of the things that you will encounter a fair bit if you end up in my class with me teaching you Laws 1000, is you tend to hear a lot of my war stories. My experiences working in the courts, my experiences working in communities now, and with what's known as the itinerant court, my work in corrections, and with parolees. So law isn't just about law books. It isn't just about learning and memorizing cases. It's also about the experiences that people have in the system. And that's what you'll get through the stories. And if you're successful, you will graduate from Carleton in law and go on possibly to law school or to graduate school and acquire stories of your own.